Hello, and welcome to the Smithsonian American Art Museum. My name is Brian, and I'll be your guide to our collection. If you look down at your hand, you'll see that you're holding an audio guide. You can use it to learn more about each artwork in the museum. When you see an info icon in front of a piece of art, you can press the play button to hear the story behind it. This is Virgin Enthroned by Abbott, Henderson, Thayer. The subjects in the painting were based on Thayer's 3 children, Mary, Gerald, and Gladys. During the 1880s, Thayer and his wife experienced the tragedy of losing their 2 other children when they died unexpectedly, just 1 year apart. This loss took an emotional toll on the couple. The bronze sculpture standing before you is of Nathan Hale, created by Frederick McMonnies. Hale was an American soldier and spy during the Revolutionary War, who was captured and hanged by the British. No one knows if this sculpture really looks like the war hero, since the artist didn't have any images of Hale. The artist decided to just portray him as a classic American patriot, and dressed him based on his real-life profession as a schoolmaster. Hale's pose reveals even more about his character. His shoulders thrust back in defiance, rope bind his feet and arms, a symbol of an untimely end. Before he was executed, he uttered these now famous words: "I only regret that I have but one life to give for my country." This relief is titled Adoration of St. Joan of Arc by J. William Fosdick. In the center of the panel, you see Joan of Arc. At the turn of the 20th century, she was a popular symbol in American culture. Why would a 15th century French martyr capture the attention of Americans at that time? Because she represented the new woman in the modern world, and even inspired women fighting for the right to vote. Creative powerhouses such as Mark Twain, Anna Hyatt Huntington, and George Bernard Shaw also turned to her for inspiration in their work. This 1889 sculpture study depicts the goddess Diana, the Roman goddess of the hunt. Her body is positioned so as to hold a bow and arrow. At the time, sculptor Augustus St. Gaudin was testing ideas and preparing one of his best-known commissions, a gilded weather vane to sit atop the tower of the newly built Madison Square Garden. When the full-scale sculpture, Diana of the Tower, was finally installed in 1893, Diana ruled the highest point in Manhattan. Madison Square Garden was demolished in 1925, and the large sculpture was later acquired by the Philadelphia Museum of Art. You're looking at what many consider the most famous sculpture of the 19th century, the Greek slave. The first life-size, fully nude sculpture of a woman exhibited to the public in the United States. The sculptor, Hiram Powers, received international acclaim and elevated the reputation of American art worldwide. With such fanfare, Powers produced 6 full-scale marble examples of the Greek slave. The cast in the Smithsonian American Art Museum was made in the artist's studio directly from Power's original clay model. The downside of the artwork's popularity was that numerous fakes of the Greek slave were made, inspiring Powers to apply for a U.S. patent on the composition. Have you ever experienced the Aurora Borealis? The sky lights up like a glowing curtain overhead that is as profoundly unsettling as it is beautiful. This isn't just any landscape. Frederick Edwin Church painted the ethereal phenomenon in 1865 and is considered to be the artist's response to the Civil War. When Church painted this picture, we were just beginning to understand electromagnetics, so the auroras were not understood by science and still seen as an omen from God. Perhaps his judgment was directed at the Americans for the sin of tolerating slavery. Press the play button again to see the real Aurora Borealis in the sky. Did you know that some of America's greatest sculptures are hidden in cemeteries? In 1885, Marion Hooper Clover Adams, an amateur photographer and the wife of the writer Henry Adams, committed suicide by drinking poisonous chemicals used to develop film. Her grieving husband commissioned sculptor Augustus St. Gaudin to create this memorial that would express the Buddhist idea of nirvana, a state of being beyond joy and sorrow. This is not your standard family portrait. Although the artist, Abbott Henderson Thayer, had his children pose as models, their presence in the painting wasn't really aimed at conveying a religious scene. Have you ever felt drawn to a crowd or felt yourself get lost in the midst? Artist Alex Prager draws inspiration from the movie industry, and her films and photographs project a distinctive Hollywood aesthetic. This 3-channel video installation titled Face in the Crowd is a parody of the cliches of popular cinema. It also deals with the fear of crowds and the desire to stand out among them. The artist explores voyeurism and exhibitionism, the spectator's gaze, and the inability to live up to expectations. This work showcases the anxiety of being swept up by the masses while trying to create and maintain a sense of self. Push the play button to learn more about artist Alex Prager.
Hi, I'm Alex Prager, and this is Face in the Crowd. We shot this over 3 days in Hollywood. The first half of the film is individuals that I interviewed on set in a little black room that we created. I really wanted to show the unique stories and kind of just random and spontaneous emotional points to these individuals that make up the crowd, because sometimes a crowd can feel like a sea of anonymous faces. And I kind of came up with this idea for Face in the Crowd when I'd been doing a lot of traveling and going through subway stations and airports and just a lot of traveling and also being asked to do public speaking for the first time and feeling this energy of this sea of people that I'd never met and I didn't know anything about, and I could project my loneliness onto them, I could project my fears onto them, and deciding to switch it and get into the crowd by asking who these people are, and it kind of broke apart the crowd for me.
First 4 years of my life, I was dead set on being a ballerina until I got those tap shoes. I just love the sound they make. I wonder what happened to those shoes. I'm sure my mother threw them out. You know how when you're a kid, everything just comes and goes. I guess she was working a lot, so she just wanted me to have lots and lots of things to do with kids my own age. Maybe she thought it would help me not notice how often I was actually alone.